Okay, and we should be live. Welcome to the stream, everyone. We've got a pretty good one today. We got the finals between Alfia 2 and GMYFS here in Demise format. The Demise Tournament that we held on the YGO from Zero Discord server was a lot of fun. So if you want to join the next one of those events, then definitely head over there. Link in the description down below. We're going to be diving into this game pretty soon. GMYFS is hosting, and this is going to be a game between two very interesting decks. These are decks that are not on people's radar when, we started to get into this tournament. But there are decks that are definitely going to be on people's radar now. There are 6 Sams and Macro Warriors. So maybe Macro Monarch as well. I'm pretty sure it's more leaning towards the Warrior side of things. But it should be a lot of fun. So we're going to dive into the game here, get watching this thing, and we'll see how it goes. So we're streaming both on YouTube and Twitch. So, be sure to watch whichever one your preferred website is to do that with. But we're going to be diving in now. So it looks like GMYFS is going to win the rock, paper, scissors, and GMYFS is on 6 Sams here. So we'll have to see how that actually does. Whereas Alfia 2 is on the Macro Warrior stuff here. So, looks like we're off to a thinking start from GeoMyFS, which can happen sometimes. Looks like they're going to start with a Zanji, set 1, and pass. Okay, bit of a slow start for 6 Sams, but sometimes they do need some time to ramp up. You don't always open Grandmaster in the opener. So they're just going to commit the Zanji, and it looks like Sidra is coming down. That will be able to deal with Zanji potentially. If you do thinking about exactly what to do here to deal with this, Stratos is also going to come down. Stratos is going to get a search here for a hero monster, and it's going to search out Wildheart. So very, very cool stuff. Wildheart, very good card. Being able to fade trap cards can be very annoying for a lot of decks to deal with here. But, Wildheart's not in the field right now, so you got to have a way to clear that Zanji that potentially plays around some back row. So Alfia 2 is thinking about whether to actually, attack in here. It looks like they're going to go for smashing here either way to get rid of the Zanji there, maybe playing around things like Shrink or something, although I'm not sure if GeoMyFS is on that sort of card. But anyway, this is going to be a lot of damage. 3,900 coming in fast, coming in hot, and GeoMyFS is going to drop down to 4,100 already. That's a bit of a scary spot to be in, facing down this sort of pressure. Dust Tornado comes down to hit that Book of Moon there and set another back row of their own, so that could potentially help them here. But we'll have to see if it actually does make the difference here. Now, the good thing is that Alfia 2 has not managed to set up their macro stuff yet. So they just have this stuff here. Rhoda coming down with the Sky Striker artwork is going to get a nice little search for GeoMyFS here, searching out another Zanji. So it looks like reasoning is going to happen as well. Interesting. I feel like I often like to go reasoning before I go for Rhoda, just to sort of know what I get off the reasoning, but maybe this will make Alfia 2 less likely to call 4. Looks like they're going to call 5, try and hit a Grandmaster here, and they hit the Shien. So Shien will indeed be able to come down now, and you're able to go Reckless Greed to draw 2 more. Very interesting stuff here from GeoMyFS. Very cool build. Zanji comes down as well, and there's the Grandmaster pre-mat as well to bring back another Zanji. This is a bit awkward because, you're only getting one effect off these 6 Sams, but to be fair, the Zanji effect is kind of all you need, especially when you're just getting in for damage, because these are the maximum attack on a level 4 lower 6 Sam there. So, yeah, this is going to be pretty good for GeoMyFS. Now, they can't draw for 2 turns, but the Comfy 2. Oh my goodness, this is going to be very, very good for GeoMyFS here. The real, out that Alfia 2 has is like Lightning Vortex. If they draw Lightning Vortex, they're able to crack this board, and that's just it for GeoMyFS. But as of now, this board seems pretty good to me. So they're going to hit an Assailant here, which I think makes some sense. Now, the awkward thing about this is that even if they had set Assailant, this would have been able to crack over that pretty easily. But we'll have to see if Alfia 2 actually has a back row here to, do stuff with. It looks like they do need to have a set and a pass back to GeoMyFS. Now, that could be a mirror off the top. I feel like they didn't have mirror last turn, or else GeoMyFS would have taken a mirror with the Comfy for sure. But do they have a way to deal with this? And this is another reason why I might have potentially gone Rhoda for something else besides, they had the IG. So never mind. Doesn't really matter there. If it's TT, then that's awkward, but if it's not TT, then this should be the end of the game, and it will be the end of the game. So very, very cool stuff there. GeoMyFS taken game 1 against the Macro Warrior deck, although we didn't really get to see the macro stuff I'm pretty sure they're on the macro stuff. I looked through their replays. That's one of the nice things about doing these tournaments online with RetroBot, which is a very, very useful tool run by Format Library. But one of the things that they have you do is they have you share your replays after you finish a game. This is meant to sort of prevent people from, joining teams and just sort of hoarding information among themselves to get a competitive advantage. And also means that you get to see a lot of games in the format, so that's kind of nice. And I'm pretty sure in some of the replays I saw Alpha 2 on macro stuff, so hopefully it is. C-Spirit said, GeoMyFS my goat. Yeah, I mean, they won the first game, so that's pretty goated behavior. We'll have to see if they're able to win the second game as well. It should be a lot of fun. I'm going to put up a poll in the YouTube chat as well. I really need to learn how to do that on Twitch. But I should have done this before. Who will win, GeoMyFS or Alpha 2? I feel like people might be tempted to vote for GeoMyFS, given that they won game 1, but you never count Alpha 2 out until it's all over, because Alpha 2 is also a very, very good player. So both of them are very, very good players in these old formats. And so it really could go either way, even though GeoMyFS has won the first game. Although winning the first game is very nice because there are some openings that Alpha 2 can do that basically invalidates what 6Ms tries to do. If they get their banish stuff up and GeoMyFS doesn't have like a command to deal with that, then that can be a bit awkward. Bottomless is very awkward for this deck to deal with. So there are some things that can give GeoMyFS a little bit of trouble, but we'll have to see if Alpha 2 actually gets into them. Starting off with a pretty passive first turn, Heavy Storm's going to deal with that back row and hit a ring. Okay, that's a pretty good one to hit. Sidra coming down now as well. Reasoning coming down now. This makes sense for ordering. Sure, your opponent knows there's 1/5 out of the deck, but, you wouldn't be able to get Sidra if this hits. Yeah, no Demise in Demise format, as C-Spare mentioned. Yeah, I mean, Demise is a deck that sort of defined the format, when it was first getting started out. Ooh, Yaichi is a good hit there. Oh, thank you for telling me that. Yeah, I forgot to update the Twitch information. Thank you, C-Spare. Demise finals. Okay, and that should be updated. Thank you. I'm still getting used to doing, Twitch stuff, but, oh, and then the Yaichi and the Grandmaster. I mean, this is just brutal. I mean, this is what 6Ms do, It's just like, if they can get set up, they make incredibly tough boards to crack. So this is very, very good for GeoMyFS. Hoy says the strongest 6Sam player in history versus the strongest 6Sam player of today. Yeah, it's quite a matchup here. Now, this is going to be a bit awkward because you can attack into Yaichi, but if oh, Mirror Fort. I was going to say, if GeoMyFS wants to keep the Yaichi around, they can just pop the Zanji. But that also works. I mean, oh my goodness, GeoMyFS just drawing everything. Smashing here for the Zanji. Zanji can pop the Yaichi if it wants to. I feel like you probably don't even want to. You probably just want to keep the Yaichi around to deal with whatever back row Alpha 2 might have. And Alpha 2 is setting 2 back row, 3 back row to try and hide sort of some of the best back row among it. But GeoMyFS has to think about what exactly to do here. Now, Heavy is gone, so Alpha 2 can just do this pretty safely. But, oh, that is a good point, Alibu Gem. Gerbil was on Demise, and they made it to semifinals. So a Demise player did make it pretty far in the event, but unfortunately it was not quite enough to make it all the way. Switching Yaichi to defense here because it can't attack anyways, and you're playing around Mirror Force. If Mirror Force does come down for the Grandmaster, you get back the Grandmaster, bring it out again, and you're feeling pretty good about that. So I think this does make sense overall. But yeah, this is just a tricky spot for Alpha 2 to be in. Zambira is going to be pretty good there, trying to attack over the Yaichi that will go through. Now it's down to 1900, though, so that's a bit awkward, because Zambira is a good crash into the Grandmaster, but I think it ultimately does make sense. Oh my goodness, Lily comes down as well. Lily attacking in over that Zambira, and that might be the end of the game. Yeah, there's the end of the game. Wowza, that was a quick one. That was a scorcher. That was 9 minutes long. That is wild. Yeah, we can see if we can get the players in here as well. So we'll see if we can get them in here. I was expecting this to go a bit longer, but yeah. Okay, we'll start the voice call, and here we go. So we'll ask them their thoughts on this. Hello. Welcome and congratulations on your win, GeoMyFS.
good afternoon. How are you doing?
Good. And I mean, congratulations to you again. You, I mean, those games were incredible. Like those were wild. And welcome to you, Alfie, too, as well. Uh,
Hello.
those were some wild games.
Oh yeah, definitely. Got lucky on my part. I feel
Yeah, but Six
reasoning.
Sam's,
Yeah,
I mean,
reasoning's a good card.
yeah, and Six Sam's is one of those decks where if they do get a bit lucky in their starting, they can definitely just steamroll other decks. Now, you both brought very interesting lists to this event and very non-standard lists, so I do want to cover both those and talk to you about your thoughts on the lists and where you think the meta is going to go in the future. But let's start with GMYFS. What do you think about Six Sams? Do you think that Six Sams, this performance is going to be standard in the future? Do you think that these are tier one? Or do you think that they rely on a little bit too much luck and so they might be more in the tier two sort of realm?
Honestly speaking, I think this does belong in tier two. A very important fact I'd like to disclose in this event was nobody crush carded me like
Hmm.
throughout the entire event. So I think that's that kind of affects how my games went. I feel so.
Yeah, I mean,
Some games are very unplayable if your opponent crush cards you.
yeah, but Six M's do have a sort of way to deal with Crush Card. Because if Crush Card
Yeah,
pops Grandmaster gets to get something back. Um,
yeah.
so they're not
I'm also
completely
not
out of
playing
the picture.
Solemn Judgment. Yeah, I'm also not playing Solemn Judgment. That makes me a lot softer to it.
Hmm.
I feel.
Yeah. But I mean, that just is a sign that maybe there's more ways for this deck to go, your build very
Yeah.
strong here, but who knows how people are going to adapt in the future. So that'll be very interesting to see. And I mean, speaking of warrior decks, Alfie too, you brought a very interesting list as well. A list that I think you've tried out in some other sort of events. Obviously, this one was tailored to this format, but this sort of like warrior deck here. So, what are your thoughts on this list, and where do you think it sort of lies in the meta?
Yeah, I pretty much just took the list that I won the last, I think, zombie format mini tournament with. It's basically a very similar list. I just had to pool wise had to make some minor adjustments. It's just a sort of warrior list with some stun elements. I'm running two Dimensional Fissures main and one DD Survivor as toolbox card for those, and yeah, to finish up the Radiance in the main. Because yeah, they are pretty good. I thought I didn't look too deep into the Demise format, but I mean, just the namesake of the format, Demise is yeah, the deck is pretty grave reliant, and yeah, I just figured with Banishers, Defissures, and some stall and stun other stun elements, should be like pretty annoying for my opponents to play against this. And basically any other deck. I also saw that some people were looking into. I think if I recall correctly, I briefly skipped over your locals stream for the mice format and
Mm.
like picked my anti deck according to that. And I think I saw some basically perfect circle decks like without the razor, but those decks are also incredibly fragile and grave reliant. That's why I ran like the stun trap dust shoot deck, and yeah, it worked pretty well.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Perfect Circle Monarch style decks are still very popular here, even though they are missing Ryza, as you mentioned. And the fact that they're missing Ryza, and that even with Ryza they struggle against this style deck, means that your deck should, have a very, very good time against them. And even on paper, like
Absolutely.
on paper, your deck works very well against Six Sams because Six Sams, especially this build, are kind of graveyard reliant. Reasoning can just banish a lot of their deck away, especially if they miss the hit, right? And Grandmaster being banished as opposed to going to grave means that it can't get its recursive effect, which is very strong. Uh, so
Yes, yeah, yes and no. That's something I also like forgot for a bit. Depends on if there's already a samurai in the graveyard.
mm,
Uh, Grandmaster's effect will still work if I mirror force it. I
yeah,
can't pick it itself, but yeah, Grandmaster's effect also activates when it goes to the yeah banished pile if destroyed. But yeah, usually if there's also no samurai in the grave beforehand.
yeah, but that is a very good point. Grandmaster is such an insane card. I mean, I love this card. I think it's so neat. Because just so powerful for the time period. There wasn't really another
Yeah,
card like it.
actually, To be honest, Six Samurais is probably also it's probably my all-time favorite archetype in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Super fun. Super
I-
I
fun.
remember back in the day, like I was playing pretty active when Samurais got released, and I always tried to build some more fancy decks with it, and it never really worked out. But I remember just liking the artworks, the whole theme, the Japan references.
Yeah. I mean, this deck is so fun. I think a lot of people hold it near and dear to their heart. So I'm very glad that I wasn't rooting for either of you like going into this because I try and be impartial and stuff. But I knew either way a cool deck would win. And you know I'm glad to see Six Sam's winning the event because Six Sam's it's one of my favorite decks as well, and I think it's so neat. Uh, and so hopefully this gets people to play it a bit more.
I hope so. That's why I like playing some strange stuff sometimes. Just you know, get people out of their comfort zones and try new things.
Yeah, and it worked out very well here. So if you had to change the list at all, I know you mentioned that you weren't playing Solemns and stuff. Would you play Solemns in the future? What would you sort of shift around if you had to bring this back to another tournament?
Uh, I'm not sure too much, but the Nobleman cross out in the deck was kind of cute. Never really came up.
Hmm.
Not to my knowledge, at least. That's one of my flex slots in the deck. I just feel like the deck can just really easily deal with like face up monsters. We have 3 bank control slash snatch deals, and we can just overpower most other monsters in battle. So I don't know. Just the cross out is just like an additional way to break their board. I feel, but I'm not sure. That could be something else.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. I mean, are you playing Eero in this deck?
I am playing 2.
Okay,
I'm playing 2. Yeah.
yeah. So
I
that's
really
another.
like the Dust Tornadoes, though. I will say that's kind of where the space came from, I guess, because I paired the Tornadoes with the Reckless Greeds, and
Hmm.
the Reckless Greeds were pretty great since you just want a critical mass of cards in your hand, just a dump.
Yeah, and we saw that game one.
Yeah,
It came in clutch
yeah,
there.
yeah. Just end or just Tornado and just set the Greed. Yeah, but I like the deck. The Objective Fairy Lilies won a lot of games in like other matches. Just rushing down your opponent's life total. It's just also good with reasoning because it just kind of screws with the levels.
Yeah, yeah, because people generally don't call three because they're like, well, if they hit Yaichi, they hit Yaichi. Um,
Or he's only playing 3 Yaichis. I am playing 2 Shoguns though. I think 3 is a little bricky.
yeah,
You know.
no, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was also wondering if you run 2 or 3. I also think 3 would have absolutely been too much, just because you ran out the Cyber Dragons and the Lilies, and so it's
Yeah,
too
I actually
difficult
shaved a
to
Shogun for a
get
Lily, which
any.
is hilarious.
Yeah, it's too difficult to get a critical number of names on the field sometimes. I
Yeah,
also
exactly.
similar problems when I tried Samurais.
Yeah. And speaking of deck composition, Alfie too, is there anything that you would change about your deck for potential future events if you had to run it back?
Um, honestly don't remember all matchups I played, but I'm just looking at my list right now. I think it's pretty well positioned. I'm not. I I think I played one match where I thought that I was missing something in the side, but I can't really remember what it was right now.
Mm.
I think it's generally pretty decent.
Yeah. And the side deck also varies from player to player. You know, it's a bit more of a personal composition than the main deck for a lot of people. So, you know, if people want to pick this up, they can sort of tinker with that to their specifications that they want. Um, but yeah, these were some very cool games. Shouts to both of you for making it this far. I mean, this was pretty impressive. And yeah, this is sort of an untapped format. It's very similar to Trooper, but there are some key differences. And so kudos to both of you for making this far on very untested decks and unexplored format. So awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks.
And also thank you for joining me today here. I'm probably going to call the stream now. I know it's a bit of a short one, but I mean,
Okay.
it, oh yeah. Anything else you want to say? Like anything you want to plug? Anything that you want to get on people's radar?
Once again, I'd just like to thank you for making this happen, both of you. These events are nice, and the community really appreciates and enjoys these types of things. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it. And thanks to both of you for coming up with a time that actually worked for me as well. So, yeah. How about you, Alfie, too?
Yeah, honestly, I also don't think I have too much to add here. Yeah, I just think I can only like sign what GMYFS said.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna call it here. But thank you all for watching. Thank you all for playing. And if you want to join the next one, head on over to the YGO from Zero Discord server in the description down below. We'll be having a Trooper format tournament happening next month. So look forward to that. Should be a lot of fun.
Exciting.
And yeah, it should be relatively similar to this format, but there are some key differences. So I'm curious to see what decks will perform, what decks will underperform, and we'll have to see exactly what happens when it happens. But I'll be having a breakdown for the results of this event in my weekly dose of Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! Coming tomorrow, so look forward to that. But yeah, that's going to do it for the stream. I hope you all enjoyed as always, and I'll see you all next time. So, peace.